Welcome to Naija Unfiltered, a SYMFONI podcast. And our guest on today's edition of the program is a member representing the North Central on the board of Southeast Development Commission and former Deputy Governor of Kogi State. Edward Onoja is our guest. Good to have you, Your Excellency.
Nice being here. My pleasure. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Let's start with some developments in the polity, which we call State of the Nation. Just last week, the school children in Oyo State and their teachers that were kidnapped were finally released after 56 days in captivity. How do you see all these developments?
Let's begin by giving gratitude to God Almighty for their safe return to their loved ones and their community and society. Whilst appreciating God for that, we must also commend the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and all the security agencies, because it's a combined effort, community efforts, and all well-meaning Nigerians who did one or two things to ensure that our beloved ones return safely to their family. My thought is better late than never. And we are glad that they are back. And it is something Nigerians should celebrate. People do not understand the load of work that goes behind ensuring return of this nature. Days, weeks, sometimes months of intelligence gathering, collaboration among security agencies, community efforts, infiltration into the enemy camp, and tracking financial activities of these elements. There could be silence, but the end result is let them come back home safely.
I'm interested in that angle. You said many a times there are a lot of works done behind the scene that a lot of people don't understand. And that is also the area many a times you also see a lot of Nigerians feel that nothing is being done. So behind the kinetic and non-kinetic approach government, the security always talk about, let's have an idea of some of the behind the scenes operations, the things that happen before people are rescued and return safely.
Fortunately, I have served first as Chief of Staff to the Governor of Kogi State for 4 years and then Deputy Governor. So to some extent, I have some idea of how these things work and pan out. Security is not entertainment. And the professionalism of our security agencies is top-notch. They don't have to come out to tell you what they are doing, because that would also be compromising their work and also jeopardizing the lives of those in captivity. But one thing I can tell you is loads of work go on behind the scene, from intelligence gathering to tech tracking to community information gathering, to profiling of the group that have been identified, and everything that concerns them. Because before you engage these men, you need to be able to know how they breathe, how they live, where they stay, what they do, and that takes a lot of work. So some Nigerians would be expecting that they will be giving you a day-to-day activity. In security balance, it's not done that way. You get your job done behind the scene, which is the planning, investigative stage, interrogating stage, sometimes even negotiation stage, and then deliver the goods. And delivering the goods is getting the people out of captivity, safe and sound. In this case, that had happened, and we are grateful to God Almighty and all that put their efforts into it. Some lives were lost. We commiserate with the families of those who've lost their lives, gallant men. And I'm glad the Senate recently also proposed that certain amounts should be, money can bring them back, But you know, when a security force knows that when they go down the line of duty, Nigeria, their country, their nation, will not forget them, will honor them. They'll give their best and they give their all. We see that in other countries like the United States.
There is also this issue about the welfare of military personnel. You know, last time we had the veterans, military veterans met with CDS, and we are saying 250,000 monthly salary was proposed for the least paid military personnel, but it has not been activated. What do you think such a review, that's in terms of monthly pay, we do to the men on the line of duty, especially those of them at the front lines?
As an administrator, politician, and also a stakeholder in this country, there are three professions that ought and should be prioritized above every other profession. Number one, security forces, whether paramilitary, military, the police, the intelligence agencies. And then comes those who impart knowledge. And I'm talking about teachers from primary to secondary to tertiary. And of course, those who help maintain our lives. And I'm talking about health practitioners. I think Mr. President and his team needs to take a look at these three sectors and try to do more, because they are doing something, but do more to encourage more persons to get into that sector, one, and also those who are there to understand that the nation, Nigeria, prioritizes them so that they can also prioritize their work to keeping us safe when it comes to security, keeping us knowledgeable when it comes to education, and keeping us alive when it comes to health. Once we get these three sectors very, very correctly, which I believe we will, we'll be home and dry as a nation.
All right. If you were to advise the government, what concrete steps should they be taking to secure Nigerians, and what critical role should state governments play in securing Nigerians?
More efforts be put in intelligence gathering. Security of any nation begins with proactivity, and that is intelligence gathering. Knowing when something is about to happen or to go down, and then nipping it in the bud before it goes down, rather than reactive by trying to, that's like they say, prevention is better than cure. So more funding into that agency in that sector that gathers information. And then that's one, our borders. Most of the claims over the past years tells us about foreigners, militants, bandits coming from other African nations, neighboring nations. So border protection needs to be prioritized. Border protection, from immigration to the Nigerian border agencies and to everybody who acts along that road. And then the new forest guards that has been proposed, and people are being recruited, because the border areas are basically forest areas. I mean, people don't live around that area, and more forces and guards around that area would help stem that. Then you talked about state government's role. We are a federation, and we have the federal government, we have the state government, but most importantly, we have the local government, 774 locations. I tried to do some research, and I find out that the Nigerian insecurity situation began to deteriorate from, say, the early 90s, when we returned back to the Fourth Republic. And if you do your findings, the local government system also began to become a little bit moribund, inactive, stifled, suffocated, as whatever word you want to use, by more senior organs of government. And that left the local government a little bit ineffective and inefficient in handling the basic, on-the-ground community information gathering and nipping such matters in the bud. So if you do a correlation, there's this, as the local government gets suffocated, insecurity increases. But we must commend Mr. President. When he came in, sometimes in 2023, he, through the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister for Justice, Fagbemi SAN, approached the Supreme Court to try to release the chokehold on the local government system. And the interpretation from the Supreme Court was very apt, that they need their freedom, they need their autonomy, their funds need to get to them directly so that they can be active, because all Nigerians reside in one local government or the other. There is a local government chairman who is the chief security officer of that local government. If he's not having the tools, the funding, and the leverage to take action when incidences are brewing, it will snowball into what we see today. So I commend Mr. President for that strategic move. And I recall a committee was set, headed by the SGF, to ensure that that happens. We've not really seen the impact 1.5 years down the line. But I believe the president keeps reiterating about local government autonomy, allowing the local government to function. He knows, because he's once been a governor. He understands the grassroots. He understands that once you can solve that problem at that level, then the insecurity issues will become a thing of the past. Take, for instance, local government gets an average of half a billion, 500 million per annum, per month. Just imagine a local government infusing 30% of that amount into the economy of the local government. It will deter some young people who would ordinarily would have moved into these violent criminal activities to get engaged and not be attracted to these vices. So it's carrot and stick. And I believe if the local government begin to function as they should, as Mr. President wants it to be, Nigeria will begin to have a reversal in the insecurity situation, and our security situation will improve astronomically. I guarantee you that.
Why we commend the president for that initiative, approaching the Supreme Court to interpret why local governments must have their independence. Why are the state governments frustrating the autonomy of the local government? Because we saw even one or two state assemblies trying to refashion
somewhere in the southeast. Yeah.
So why are the state governors? Let me put it bluntly. Why are the state governors afraid of allowing the local government to function? And why is the federal government not reacting to that Supreme Court judgment?
Let me rephrase it. Why are some state governments, not all? Because I can tell you.
Are we sure there are those who already...
No, if you look at the security situations and rank states by states, some states are ranking very high. And if you look very clearly, there are states that have allowed some level of effectiveness and efficiency in their local government system. Take, for instance, Lagos State. It is not as bad as some other states in terms of security situation, even though it's the most populated state in Nigeria. And you expect that crime should be highest there, insecurity should be highest there. But they've been able to effectively and efficiently manage the situation. Why? Because to some extent, their local government system functions as it should be. So I say, if this is extrapolated, if they can take a cue from what Lagos State is doing to other states, I am telling you, 6 months, Nigerians will feel that impact of governance, because everybody lives in a local government. The population of Nigerians that are in the communities and in the grassroots and in the rural areas are more than those in the urban areas. And you asked why, Mr. President, it has not happened. He's in charge of Nigeria, But he will not carry a horsewhip to begin to get other state governors who, in their own right, are subnationals, chief security officers in their own rights. And I want to believe that, for me in the APC, we have 31 of them, governors in the APC. If they really, 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 really want Mr. President's success, even at the polls that is coming, they need to do something about the local government system. Once they do it, 3 months,
That is set example.
you will really see the difference. And Nigerians will rally around Mr. President because it's something we missed out since the beginning of the Fourth Republic. And it has gotten worse as the years go by. So a reversal of it will put Mr. President in the positive light before Nigerians. And I believe those governors are advocates of Mr. President. So they need to do what is right by the local government to give a good positive image to Mr. President and allow followership, support, and a buying to the renewed hope.
There is a point you made now, and at times I begin to wonder. Probably you may need to extrapolate this before the governors of the APC. What you just said, that if you have 31 of them, and they can allow the local governments to breathe, and they can be used as a reference point, then campaign is made for the president. So why are they not
Uhuru,
seeing...
it's a straight win for Mr. President. It's just 3 months test run. You will see the impact. The people will feel it. It will show. And when it shows, it shines.
Probably we'll stop criticizing the federal government alone now. We can now beam the searchlight on the local
Everything
government.
that comes to the treasury is shared amongst 3 tiers. Federal government functions. State governments, to a large extent, are doing well in their own right. But you see that 3rd tier. We have elites in every local government. We have people who ask questions. There's freedom of information. Go there, get it done. Half a billion has come to your local government in the last 30 days. Do you see it in your local government? If the answer is no, ask questions, dig deep, unravel why. You are helping the nation. It's not a thing of just Mr. President or the governors. Where is the citizens' actions? We dissipate energies on minors rather than put our efforts in the majors. That's where the issue is. Solve that problem, 70% of our problem is resolved.
All right, one of the issues that has dominated our discourse in the last how many weeks now, and I refuse to die, is the scandal involving the chief of staff to the president. Somebody alleged that he is a DG of an agency that has been described as a fake agency. He also alleged that the chief of staff collected money from him, even though not one-on-one, to get the appointment. And the whole thing has put the country in bad light, because every time we are talking about getting investors, and then when they hear things like this at the highest level of government, though it's an accusation or allegation, but it leaves much to be desired. What are your thoughts about scandals like this?
It's unfortunate. It is disappointing. But, like I said earlier, I've served as a chief of staff before. And I understand the enormous task that comes with that office. Your enemies are everywhere. I've been there. I think I wore that shoe before, so I understand. And allegations abound, like you said, allegations. I'm glad that the chief of staff, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, also has taken the fake DG of a fake agency to the courts, and also is also suing for name damage and libel and defamation. That's a good move. I'm also aware that, in fact, sometimes I put a post out that if they want to unravel this whole mystery, because there were allegations that the agency had accounts with the Central Bank of Nigeria, dollar, pound, naira, and the likes. If that happened, because I've had the privilege of being Category A signatory to a commercial bank. So I understand the rudiments of even having an account with the Central Bank of Nigeria. It's not like your fintech accounts you open from your phone. And I said, all you needed to do was to go there and find out who authorized, who gave approval, and then you know those who were involved. But immediately I put that out. I'm glad the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation came out very clearly and put out a disclaimer that no account had been opened in the CBN or in any with that name, one, and that no funds of Nigeria from anywhere had even gone to any account. Because if there are no accounts, how would funds go in? So I'm glad that had happened. And immediately that happened, Mr. President also directed the ICPC to go full scale into the investigations on everything around it, collaborators, negligence, offices that were negligent in their duties and all that, and bring a report in 30 days. These are already counting, and Nigerians are waiting for that report. Better, as again, the matter is in court. It gave a directive that the fake DG of that fake agency be arrested. The police are swung into action. They have him in custody. And within the next 30 days, I believe Nigerians would have a closure to the whole matter. But like I said, that office of Chief of Staff is a very sensitive office, and different allegations will come. You have enemies from every quarters. And I believe at the end of the day, he's an experienced administrator. He would survive it all. I believe so. And the truth will be out there for Nigerians to see. But you also talked about payment for appointment. The also information we have is that the appointment letter came and signed by Chief of Staff. For crying out loud, I'm a government official. No, Chief of Staff can never sign an appointment letter to anybody. It's the function of the Secretary to the Government of Federation. That office is the sole right to giving and signing out of any appointment letter to any public officer appointed by Mr. President. So there's that statement that the Chief of Staff gave an appointment letter. You need to put a question mark there. It means that the alleged scammer might have also been scammed. So it's what they call Koniman Jam Koniman. Koniman Jam Koniman Burial. So scammer has been scammed. It's a scam. It's a double scam.
All right, but the man in the midst of the storm, that's Adeni Adeyemi. When the Mr. President asked the ICPC to investigate, he wrote Mr. President and said he doubts whether he will get a fair hearing because it is the presidency that is at stake. The presidency is being accused, and ICPC is under the presidency. And he's saying ICPC reports to the presidency. Can they have the guts to indict the presidency that they report to? So he is saying that he doubts whether he can have a fair hearing.
First and foremost, people hide inside this presidency. The question is, who is the presidency? Somebody once asked that before. I think it's the former SGF. Who is the presidency? A lot of people throw names around. A lot of people, it's a system, it's a game that had been on for decades. The presidency. People just use that word so loosely. I think the presidency are also on top of their game to ensuring that people do not just use their names to scam Nigerians. It's been a game that has been on for decades, predates this government, the general use of the word the presidency. But one thing is, ICPC is in charge to do the job. The case, again, is before the law courts. I mean, that's a two-edged sword. Their findings will bring a closure to this matter. I expect that the Prince Adeyemi, is that his name, should be able to subject himself at least to the law courts and provide all his documents and evidences that will indict whoever, and then also avail the ICPC all they need to know. And then the ICPC, I trust, will do their due diligence and come out with a report for Mr. President before the expiration or on the expiration of that 30 days. And there will be closure.
Some have argued that in situations like this, should Mr. President have looked away from those who have been accused to remain in office while this investigation is going on, fearing possible possible compromise of investigation?
Best global practice. Yes. But it's a personal decision. People will say, I'd like to stay away while this investigation is going on. But if you throw everybody, your cabinet away when an allegation is passed, and they pass allegation on 50 people at a particular instance, will everybody be out of office? So some offices are very sensitive. You don't just excuse them like that. You just, what I'm trying to say is, if you set that precedence, we have examples before. There was the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs at the time, and she was excused because even at that, the office can run. There's a PAMSEC, and all that, and it's a ministry. But these are personal aids. Sometimes you just don't say stay away, because really, what will he interfere with is neither here nor there. But if you begin to tell everybody who is alleged, then you see allegations from 20 people on 20 of your people, of your staffers, you need to. It's neither here nor there. But I like the decision of Mr. President to ask the ICPC to go into it and give him a report. I believe when the report comes to his table, we'll take action.
Just on a lighter note, if, for instance, this guy, Adeyemi, scammed everybody and got to the level that he got, opened an office at the Federal Secretariat, traveling on behalf of government, snappy pictures with high government officials, EFCC even gave him an award, meeting with Deputy Speaker of the State. If this guy alone was able to manipulate his way to this level, don't you think we should give him an award?
That would be, first, the ingenuity should be applauded, first and foremost. But in giving him an award, I would beg to differ. You will be setting a precedent that will be encouraging younger Nigerians to become what I call super scammers. And take it from me, there are people who are good at that. When they talk, they can convince an Esquibo to buy eyes from them. They call them, they are just people who have that gift. But, like they say, every day is for one day. I think
they know the house.
That's where we found ourselves. And I believe even himself would have his own moment of regrets. I hope, because if it's in the blood, it's difficult for such people to change.
All right, let's move on. Currently, Nigeria ranks 142 out of 182 countries sampled by the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index. And our rating is very poor, 26%. 0 over 100, 26% is fail. And this is where we found ourselves. What does this say of its impact on Nigeria's image, impact on foreign investments, attracting foreign investors, impact on our economy?
First and foremost, such a report from such an agency, even if we cannot ascertain how their data were gotten, should jot every Nigerian to action. Sometimes negative reports can bring out positive outcomes if you take it and then work on it. And I encourage every office, public officer, to do all they need to do to improve Nigerians' ranking when the next report comes out.
But should leaders also not listen to the cries and pains of their people? If you are undertaking a reform and the reform is inflicting so much pain on the people you are leading, are you not supposed to also tinker with and hear them and hear with the reforms?
The president has always acknowledged. He knows the pains. Maybe some officials around him can deny it, but the president in all of his addresses acknowledges it. Tells Nigerians that I know that there are pains, but we must go through it to get to where we want to get to. And like I said, if the local government system works where most Nigerians reside and they become efficient, effective, that pain will significantly reduce. Take, for instance, if a local government commits 50 million to its farmers every month, a local government commits 50 million naira to its farmers every month. Within 6 months, over 1,000 farmers would have been empowered with seedlings, with implements, with things that would help them produce food. And when food is surplus, prices will drop significantly. I still say it and I stand on it. Unless we solve the problem at the local government level, we'll just be moving in cycles. Nobody should deceive themselves. We will be moving in cycles. And dare anybody to debate it.
All right, let's look at the opposition parties, or the opposition. Let me not say opposition parties. Many a times they've been crying that the government of the day is muzzling them. The government of the day does not want them to breathe. Beyond comments on Twitter, statements on Twitter, do you think that the opposition is doing enough to check this government? Supposed excesses of this government?
First and foremost, let's begin with what democracy is. No democracy thrives without opposition. Once upon a time, the APC was opposition. And they went about it the way the opposition should go about it. Dogged, fearless, logical, facts, with information. And the government that thought it was invisible became visible. I would not say the opposition is not doing very well. Maybe I can only say they may not be as organized as they should be. I would say maybe ambition seems to be priority over purpose. And they are dropping the ball, which is good for my party. But I also believe that with more opposition coming up, sometimes it's not to play opposition is not to be up on social media with insult every now and then. Suggest the alternative that you believe would make Nigeria work better. It's not insults. Opposition, democracy is not a game of insults. It's a game of superior, logical arguments and points. Place them on the table. The citizens will see and know the difference. But if it's all about insults, you didn't do this, you are that, you are this, you lose this team. And I think that's where they need to get their acts together. And talking about the ruling party giving, stifling them, I wonder how, if Egypt was winning 2-0 and they allow Argentina to come from behind and win and all that, it's a game. I can't help you. I can't help you to win. I would help myself to win. And in helping myself to win, it's not as if I will influence you, but if you yourself are not organized, how do I help you? Why should I help you? Like Mr. President said, I cannot help you to be organized. I cannot help you to be together. I cannot help you to, even within the oppositions, there is counter-opposition. When a house is divided against itself, you surely can stand.
All right. Your Excellency, let's drag you into Kogi politics. Sincerely speaking, give us your assessment of the current governor Ododo's administration in the last 2 years.
Yeah, we're in August, we're in July. So let's say 2 years and a half. I've not really done my assessment. But I would say he's done fairly well in welfare of workers, civil servants. He needs to do more when it comes to securing the state. In the last 1 month, he's put in some efforts by way of vehicles to help the security agencies combat insecurity issues. We are lucky also that there had been some level of measures that had been put in place prior to his emergence, and that's helping out some way. Some pupils, like I heard, were kidnapped in a part of Kogi and they're back home to their families. We also want to be grateful to God Almighty and the efforts of all that made that happen. No lives were lost. So on that part, one can say he needs to do more. He has started doing more, and we are seeing the results. In terms of development, I want to say I think development is a little bit skewed on the one side. It's not evenly spread. We will continue to engage because Kogi is for everybody. The resources that comes to Kogi is for everybody. And this infrastructure needs to be spread further. I don't want to go into the details. It's something I would engage the governor with directly. I think that's an area he needs to do more. Infrastructure, roads, especially in my axis in Kogi East. I think things need to happen more in Kogi East and some other parts of Kogi. In Lokoja, the state capital, yeah, fairly well. He's doing well. Infrastructures are coming up. Mr. President's wife was there some days back to commission I think it's the Treasury and Pension House. Sometimes last year, former governor of Delta State, James Ibori, was there to commission the Audit House. But governance is not about houses alone. It's good to give a good ambience to the people that work, but what of the other general citizens? And so we need to engage on that more privately. So on that area, I think he's not done well, and he needs to sit up and do well.
All right. Despite being very close to your former principal for 8 years, first as chief of staff and later as deputy governor, I don't know whether the relationship deteriorated when the governor then, your principal then, bypassed you to choose Ododo as his successor in 2023. How did you feel about what I could describe as broken succession promise from your...
I don't want to dwell on that. We've moved on. We've exited office as governor and deputy governor. Everybody's defined his path, and we've moved on. Like I said, if one door closes, it means that other doors opens. It's what you make of those open doors that matters ultimately. Today, to the glory of God, I'm representing my region, the North Central and the FCT, on the Development Commission of your region, the Southeast. I'm expanding my scope and network and also building new relationships. Only God knows what the future holds. So that's besides it. It was his right to choose his successor, and he made his choice. And nobody should blame him for the choices he made. We've moved on.
You didn't feel bad?
Like I said it was disappointing, but as a man of faith, you see that whatever comes your way means God approves it. Sometimes to make you better, make you stronger, and make you a better person. So like I said, in the last 2 years and a half, I think I've had more peace with myself and the leverage and the freedom to engage more on a national scale. That's what I'm doing right now.
There are those who look at your loyalty to your former principal as, especially people from your area, the Kogi East. They felt it was a little bit to the extreme, even to the point that your townsman or your Igala man, Simon Achuba, was impeached for you to become the deputy governor. How do you respond to those allegations?
My elder brother, Simon Achuba, it's unfortunate the incident happened. We've made up. We're friends now. We're good. We're moving on to future things together. And the past is put in the past. In fact, there's a renaissance in Kogi East to speak with one voice in every decision and everything we do going forward. So we are trying to build bridges right now. Yes, when you talk about loyalty, take the example of David to Saul. David was extremely loyal because he knew that Saul was also the making of God. So Bello, His Excellency Elijah Yado Bello, was my principal. The only thing I can give to him was loyalty. As a Christian, my creed teaches me to be loyal to your principal, like David was to Saul. Whether it was not reversal, it's a different thing entirely. You play your part. Leave the rest to the Almighty. And like I said, I came out of the government without baggages. I came out of the government with experience. I came out of the government with a national face. If I didn't have that, I won't be where I am today. So there are many positives I can point out to. So that loyalty is my, how will I call it, is my greatest strength. And most leaders across the world would always go for loyal men. I take it from you, I never have a regret being loyal because my faith demands loyalty. I didn't fail my God in being loyal. My people may have their reservation, but what they should also understand is what I did prove was that you can trust an Igala man 100%. I kept the brand of the Igala people. We are loyal people. We can be trusted. And that I'm proud of.
Let's look at the upcoming 2027 Kogi Senatorial District election that is expected to be between former Governor Yaya Bello and Natasha Akpoti.
That's not Kogi East. That is Kogi Central.
I know, sorry, Kogi Central. But we are looking at it now as a former principal and then Natasha, who is currently there. How do you see this election? Because a lot of people have said it's going to be very competitive. How do you see this coming election between Yaya Bello and Natasha Akpoti?
You want to drag me into some areas that I would rather not speak on. I'll be casting my vote in polling unit 001 in Ogugu Ward 3 in Olamaboro local government. I'll be mobilizing electorates in Kogi East for APC, for president and my candidates. So for me to be assessing what will happen in Kogi Central, which is a competition among brothers and sisters, we'll be trying to pry into a matter that does not concern me. All I can say is the person with the best strategy will come up tops.
All right. And I need to ask you this question because they say my place, they say you don't climb the Iroku anyhow. So when opportunities like this come, and there are some narratives you may have heard, so you also need the person when you get opportunity to give his own side of the story. And that is, as someone many Kogi politicians across different political parties now consult and defer to, would you say the controversy surrounding your time as deputy governor has been put behind you? There were allegations of violence, allegedly ordering the physical excavation of access roads to opposition strongholds, godfather politics, and all of that. These are some of the allegations.
I have said this even in one podcast before. I vote in Olamaboro local government. That's where I engage primarily. And to a large extent, no place was excavated, not even the entire Kogi East, not to talk about my district or my polling unit or my local government. Everybody would choose their strategy on how to... For me, such strategies, even adds more to your competition rather than reduce from your competition, because the world goes for those who they perceive as underdogs or oppressed. So if it is seen that somebody is oppressed, you see the story of David and Goliath. It looks like Goliath was oppressing, and everybody was rallying around David because it seems a mismatch, as it were, and he got victory. So you may be doing something, you think it's the way forward, when in reality, you're shooting yourself in the foot. It's all about strategy. For me, violence is not my style in politics. And I dare anybody, whether from Kogi East or anywhere, to come out and say, whilst you were chief of staff, whilst you were deputy governor, you encouraged us to go and be violent during election. You were moving around with known thugs. Every of your picture, we see thugs around you. I don't do it. I have my mouth, I have my brain. I can convince you why you should come and vote for my party. God's given me that ability. I don't need to go brute when I have brains. That's how I do my politics. So that allegation is a perception, not a reality. And talking about
excavation of...
no, that's still the violence part. No. Edward doesn't do it. I can go to polling unit by polling unit to talk to people to vote for my party, convince them. I'm not a social media politician, as it were. When it comes to election, I don't just do local government rallies. I go to polling units. I go to the wards. Sometimes I go to the domain of the people, not even polling units. In the last election for Mr. President, I visited churches because the Muslim ticket was working against us heavily. But we convinced our people that no, Mr. President is not who you think he is. He might be a Muslim, but he has a wife that is a Christian and a pastor. His children choose their religion. He's a liberal. And when he becomes president, we won't feel the fear that most of the clergies were nursing then. My people trusted me, especially the clergies. We won our elections for Mr. President in my domain that was 90% or 95% Christian dominated. And today, they come back to me and say, what you told us about Mr. President was accurate because he didn't seem to be playing religious cards as a president. And I can tell you, those perception has been erased. And I can tell you the church, because the church is a block on its own, I believe now know the difference. Nobody can convince them with religious tactics again. That play will not work this time around. It's an outdated update.
I would have asked, but I want you to respond to this. Given your influence as chief of staff before becoming deputy governor, you wield a lot of influence. You have a lot of connection. You can look at your crystal ball, political crystal ball, and say one or two things. Can your former principal, Yaya Bello, defeat Natasha at Kogi Central election?
It's a tough call. The person with the best strategy will carry the day. It's a tough call.
Has Kogi seen the last of you, or you want to sit back, recalibrate, and relaunch?
I have served Kogi for 8 years, and I gave my best. It may not be enough, but today, I'm serving your region, representing my region. I look forward to higher opportunities. Very, very wider opportunities to serve my country, Nigeria. And I believe that those opportunities will come. It's just a matter of time. I'm a product of a unity school. I went to FGC Kwali, Abuja, and I have friends all over this country. I look forward to higher opportunities. Like they say, only God determines a man's ultimate destiny. I rely strongly on God. I'm a man of faith. And like I said, I look forward to higher opportunities. But that is not to say I won't play local politics, because politics starts and ends from your base.
I know you've not been really flowing with dwelling in Kogi. You have been more free. You have been more free with addressing national issues. But unfortunately, I have to take you back to Kogi one more time before we wrap up on on the show. Former Governor Yaya Bello was seen in a video circulating on social media
Oh my God.
threatening his political opponents and labeling them as worse than bandits, and also vowed to take action against anyone defaming him under the guise of political opposition, stating that he would treat them like criminals. How do you respond to threats like this?
Personal opinion. The event he made those statements, for me, was a mismatch. Passing out call to bar of probably somebody below 23, 22, celebrating her pastor. It wasn't an ideal audience, as it were. Defining political, because that's a new nomenclature, political criminals. I know criminals. I know politicians. There are two things I know before, but now today, at least I'm glad I now know political criminals. So you can have civil servant criminals, military criminals. So it's now subset. But criminal is the universal set. And then the subsets are now defined by the profession and the sector everybody plays. He's saying that they are worse than ISWAP, Boko Haram, bandit, and terrorists. I differ in opinion on that. Those are not even human beings in the first place. People who take people, seek ransom, innocent people. And when they don't pay, they slaughter them, shoot them. We've lost generals. For anybody to say politicians who are competing to serve and using different tactics to doing it are now worse than these elements, I differ. I don't agree with that totally. That is to de-escalate the enormity of the crime and the violent crime that group of people do to Nigerians and the image of our country. That being said, when you put political criminals together, you can simply say a politician with criminal tendency. Any politician from Kogi or Kogi Central that fits that definition knows him or herself. For me, politics is just a game. It's more of your brain work than brute. When he says he will come for them or deal with them, it might mean taking the law against them, going to the appropriate authorities if they go or veer out of there. It might mean that, for instance, somebody recently alleged that online on a WhatsApp platform that I instructed people to go and kill youths in my local government. I approached the relevant authorities, and he was invited. And he had no evidence, he had no proof, and he apologized. And I forgave him. He wrote an apology, circulated it, and I forgave him. So that's a more intelligent and strategic way to dealing with issues like that. I don't know what he meant when he says he will come for them. It could be using the appropriate authorities, because the laws are there for us to use. That I'm a politician does not mean you should come and badmouth me or fabricate stories around my person, because I still have my human rights to defend and my image and my name to defend, and I'll defend it using the law. I will not defend it by any other means but through the law, because you can't use negative to solve negative. You can only use positive to solve positive. So that's my take on the whole matter.
All right, let's wrap up this way. President Tinubu is facing critical challenges centered on widespread economic hardship, persistent national insecurity, regional political realignment, and declining political trust in democratic institutions. Are you worried that President Tinubu may lose 2027 elections?
I'm a politician who is a realist. To answer that, first, the job before us as APC is to engage with the people. Logically, explain rationally, make them understand why the pains and what the future holds. So, more engagement. And I believe the ruling party has enough groups, enough mechanism to go and engage with the people beyond just unprovoked press releases by mouthpiece of Mr. President. We must also empathize with the people. And by doing that, you need to get to their level. Nigerians also are people who understand. The question I would always ask people is, what will the opposition leaders do differently? Are they coming to reverse the subsidy removal? No, they all wanted to remove it. Probably they would have not had the courage to remove it the way Mr. President boldly removed it. But if you recall, for over 20 years, all presidents before Mr. President have been talking about subsidy removal. But none of them had that boldness and balls to take it out. He did, not minding the political backlash, because governance needs to be effective. I have already enumerated the gains. More monies to the federal, the state, and the local government. Mr. President needs to ensure that that local government works. Nigerian citizens need to help Mr. President to make local government work because he has already given an open check to the Supreme Court. Citizens need to take their actions there more. Once we do that, the pains will be relieved at that level because the real pains are in the rural areas. We must let the local government work like Lagos State allows their local government to work. That will also help limit the insecurity, growing insecurity. I've told you, when you do the research, as local government gets more suffocated, insecurity is increasing. Why not do a reverse? Once the local government become efficient and effective and they are allowed to do their job and spend their money in their local government and touch the lives of their people, insecurity will die a natural death. It's just simple as ABC. It's a no-brainer. So if the governors truly want this success of Mr. President, they know what to do. Do it for just 6 months and see the difference. So I'm optimistic that once we tick the right boxes, and they're just there in plain sight, Nigerians will know that a bird in hand is worth much more than two in the bush. So that they will tell the difference between some opposition whining them and a man who is sitting there getting the job done. And they can trust him to complete the job. Look at the regional development commissions. Look at, it's like decentralization strategically. What Nigerians have been craving for years. For the Southeast, since the Civil War, the Civil War. And promise after promise, you never had it. But after 54 years, you have it today. So there are positives. And Nigerians should look at those positives. While we empathize with the pain, we all feel it. Mr. President acknowledges it. Nobody's denying it. But we will get there and we will get better. I know that no opposition is coming to reverse all these policies. They love the policies. In fact, they are happy Mr. President did it. But politics, you will use it against him in campaigning. But they love it because they know it was the right thing to do, though a very difficult decision to make. They probably may not have had the courage to make those decisions. But Mr. President made those decisions, knowing fully well that in the long run and in the long term, Nigeria gets better for it. So I'm optimistic. If we tick the right boxes, we will win the elections. Clear and simple. It's a tough call, but I'm also glad that the opposition, like I said, are not as organized as I would have loved them to be.
Do you trust INEC to deliver a transparent, free, fair, and credible election next year?
I trust Nigerian people to defend their votes. I trust Nigerian people to get their PVCs. I trust the Nigerian people to go out and vote and ensure their vote counts. INEC is one institution. INEC cannot be bigger than the electorates. That's how I believe it. And politics is local. I can tell you I'll go to my polling units and I'll convince my people, plead with them, not arrogantly, but logically, and get the numbers for my party. And I expect every politician to do the same, not to sit in some high offices and be dishing out posts and all that. Because at the end of the day, we will all be in our polling unit and we'll face the reality with our people. And if we truly love Mr. President, we should do more so that he can get re-elected, not jamborees.
Thank you very much, Your
Thank you very much. God bless you.
It's been a pleasure having you on set.
My pleasure too.